reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. MMO Reporter's PAX Prime coverage is brought to you by GoDaddy. Get 30% off your next purchase at GoDaddy by using the code MMO30. Some limitations apply. See website for details. Hey everybody, Chris here from MMO Reporter, once again talking to Trion Worlds. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us your role with Defiance, and give us a little sneak peek at what we're going to look at with the game.
My name's Dempsey. I'm the creative lead on Defiance. What we're going to be seeing today is we're going to be showing off Silicon Valley. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Aftermath update that's going to be going on after the end of September. And we're going to talk free-to-play and how the game has changed in the last, year and a half. It's been a long time.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look.
So, like the way we designed this outfit, so we took the E-Rep Soldier, and we actually put a motorcycle helmet on it, and we gave him the back armor that you've got if you've got like a serious racing bike. And so that's actually how we designed this outfit, was to be a motorcycle outfit. So like something we always try to do is we do try to think about how in the real world would you make any of the materials and any of the outfits that we've got. So we try not to have outfits that couldn't actually physically be made, which sometimes is annoying because we're like, we could do this thing, but then that would require magic. So it's fascinating. I used to actually be a costume designer. I did costume design for theater, and so we get a lot of that experience sort of coming in. So today what we're showing off is Professor Holiday here is going to be taking us a tour through Silicon Valley. Like many people who are coming to visit the San Francisco Bay Area, they are going to first come into San Bruno, and they're going to be frustrated by the parking complexes here at SFO. And so this is Port Bruno, what remains of the San Francisco airport, and we are glad to have destroyed all of its worst architectural features. Today I will be driving around in a Dodge Hellfire Durango because I like redneck paint jobs on cars. And let's take a look at what's going on inside of the world. These are our actual live servers. So strange things can happen, like, for example, not having a major world event going on inside the area I'm featuring. So instead, I'm going to go over to San Francisco, and let's go check out what kind of terrible things are going on there. We've actually had a very positive response to Silicon Valley and all of the missions that we've been doing for sort of Season 2. For Season 2, we worked with the show writers to work in detail, like, hey, in the show they're going to discover this about the conspiracy that's affecting the sort of the world in general with the pilgrims who have been showing up inside of the television series. Let's see what clues can we give to events in the show at what time to have us always be able to, at the end of the season, we're going to have people who've just been experiencing one side of the media will be able to have a full experience and have all of the answers. But how can we give it out at different times so that if you're watching the game and the show, you get to put the picture together much, much sooner. So that finally sort of came to a head in the television show last night. And we're really excited to announce that we're going to be doing our Aftermath update in late September. That is going to be having our sort of final 7 missions, 3 new instances, a bunch of new enemies, all of the stuff that is just that is going to wrap up the storyline for Season 2 inside of the game. And let you find out what are the pilgrims of the guiding light, what is their relationship to this thing called loci, what is that even? All of those questions being answered, as well as how does San Francisco find out about the events of the finale, for example, which I will coyly not spoil for you. So we're actually right now, I'm using a new synergy that we've created inside of the game. This is because I've got a full set of what is called the Firewall synergy. Whenever my shields break, I actually restore some of my armor. I'm able to give and receive healing better after I've actually taken a bunch of damage. And we've got a whole bunch of new synergies and effects and weapons that are coming in that create a more clear role structure for your character inside of the game. So hey, I'm not a major DPS dealer, I'm somebody who lives through everything. Let's go to like wet work right now. This is one which provides damage buffs to other people who are near me when certain events trigger. And so this one's a really good one if you're going to be playing a group and you're going to go after like the War Master or something. You're going to want this synergy because it's going to increase your damage output when you most need it. So we've got a lot of players over here. If you haven't played it, depending on how recently you've played it, you'll be familiar with. We're now at threat level 8. This is just at the edge of my capability to actually, usefully contribute to, since I'm a 3,000 ego rating player myself. And so we've got a lot of the dynamic health adjustment, dynamic enemy difficulty all going in there so that people can play together sort of easily. That's the crux of the game. It's the thing we try to push. You should be able to play with your friends anytime, regardless of what level they are, regardless of what level you are. As soon as we take down this guy, I would like to see whether we've got something going on in Silicon Valley and show you around. Everything about this is pain. Come on, hockey mask guy. Help me out. Help me out. Nah, forget it. No, and of course he dies. The jerk. Not dying when I wanted him to. Well, I'm going to give you a brief tour of Silicon Valley. There's a landmark that's very dear to my heart that I want to go show off. But, do you have any questions for us?
Not quite yet.
So one of the sort of amazing things that's gone on this summer is that we went free to play in June on PC. We've just gone on PS3 very recently, essentially with the release of Silicon Valley, and we're going to be going free to play on the Xbox shortly. We're still finalizing the details with them and the release with them, and so we've got to that'll be coming out very soon. And then hot on its heels, the Aftermath update will come in. It's been a really amazing thing to actually see the new free-to-play players come in, because they have. I just did that. They've got. They bring a lot of sort of new ideas to the game world, because their players come in with a totally different set of expectations, and it's been kind of amazing. So right now, like our PlayStation and our PC users, we've got the same numbers of them, and that was not our expectation. And it's been really amazing to see how the way that people play has developed, and the way that people talk about the game. Everybody's got each of the different platforms has their own whole culture.
And last time we spoke, it was Xbox that had the highest number of users. Is that still the case?
It's not, although we expect that to reverse as soon as it goes free to play. I'm actually really interested in seeing how that changes things. Xbox players, of course, have to have Xbox Live Gold in order to play. So they're all sort of used to, there's that extra barrier to entry. So I'm super curious, just as a sociologist and economist myself, to see how that affects the numbers. So right here, we're at an area called the Rift. You can see why it's called the Rift. Obviously, it's this big hole in the ground, and definitely not the fact that the Oracle building and the Trion offices have been smashed next to each other. My desk is somewhere underneath of that giant pile of ArcTech, which I hope I was out of the office in 2036. I guess it would have been that would have probably crashed down as part of the Arcfall.
I was going to ask if the offices had made it into the game.
They have now. They are now VBI offices. They've set up a base inside of the old Trion Worlds office, giving up the game that secretly, yes, in fact, VBI is Trion Worlds. Some sort of horrible, evil Trion Worlds corporate site. Anyways, that's mostly we've got the show off. I am a little sad that we didn't get a chance to fight a horde of pilgrims. I guess I can actually show them off. Have you seen them yet?
Not in game, no.
Okay, so I'm going to murderize them, because if they're not part of a dynamic event, they don't scale up to match your level, because they're essentially window dressing unless they're actually invading. So we'll go check out some pilgrims being nasty, horrible people over in Foster City. If you haven't actually driven to San Francisco and tried to go to like Berkeley or something, the 92 Exchange Bridge, which is going to be this right here, is a famously congested and unpleasant piece of road to go over. Oh wow! Hey, Dark Matter. Bam. Goodbye. And so these guys have actually set up. Their cult has actually set up a temple here, and so they've got their revenants, which are these nasty fellows right there. Are protecting it at their fires of penance. They'll actually, you'll find this out because you you get some stories about a character who's actually being brought in. They use this to train themselves to not be afraid of pain or death. And so they stand over these fires. Oh, darn, it looks like they've actually already been cleared out by dark matter. This is the downside of having an actual dynamic game world, is sometimes the guys are just not where you expect them to be. We'll give one more try. We'll give one more college try. If you didn't know, I actually love driving around inside of our games, so...
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've almost always worked on games with the driving element to it, so it's something I really care about. For it to feel right, but also, you gotta know what your goal is. If you're trying to make a realistic car simulator, this is not the game for you. If your goal is to have something fun to sort of bounce around the environment and be able to take, mad high leaps and that kind of thing, that is what we were going for. I mean, hell, you can flip over your car and it'd be fine at the end of it. Clearly, realism was not our goal.
And I very often do exactly that.
It's hilarious!
But you're trying to make a shortcut, right? You think it's going to work, and you take that jump, and it just doesn't quite go right.
So we had an earthquake in San Francisco recently, and I blame San Andreas Temple for it. Because this is the San Andreas fault. This right here is an acolyte. You can see her with a shotgun, so what's going to be interesting is if I can get her attention. She actually has an ego unit, just like I do. And so she will actually turn invisible, and while she's invisible, she's going to try to not draw my attention, and then she's going to actually try and get close and surprise me when I'm not paying attention to her. Dedicants, on the other hand, are just normal schmucks. Oh, shoot. And so all of these characters actually have sort of a slew of abilities to catch you off guard with. So Dedicants are just normal people, but the Acolytes all have sort of lots of little tricks up their sleeves. So this is them in sort of a normal event. Anyway, Skinwalkers. Anyway, that's what we've got to show today.
Awesome. Are you going into, because season 3? There's this long break between the seasons in the show. Are you looking to try and bridge that gap with more content with the free-to-play players now coming in? You got to work a little bit harder to keep those types of players coming back to the game. So what's your plans for that?
So when the show is going on, we do updates constantly to keep the worlds in step with each other. Mm-hmm. And when the show is actually off, what we do is we do more larger, substantial updates that bring larger feature sets into the game. So you saw that with the DLCs last year, the Cast and Charge pack, like Arctech Revolution essentially turned the world on its head. Gunslinger Trials added that whole system of scoring and score bonuses into the game. Now that we are in the television show's off season, we're going to start producing our season 3 content, and we're going to be aiming for more of the larger times, longer lead times, but having that more substantial chunk of update all at once. Oh, here's a bunch of new mechanics, here's a bunch of new instances or new world or a new type of content. Mm-hmm. And drop those all as sort of like one big discrete chunk and have several of those, each one of them building towards making that model of the universe that we want to see for when the next season happens, and we do content updates frequently, and we're doing sort of a more storyline based update at that point. We've got, for anybody who's been following, here, speaking of the big events that can go on, so for the end of the season, some pretty titanic things happen. I continue to not spoil it for you. But
thank you.
The world of Defiance has changed drastically, and now we're going to be seeing the impact of that, and we get to show it inside of the game world with refugees from various horrible catastrophes, and sort of new events, and people reacting to how strange and new, once again, these sort of, it's always changing, and we've got to show that, and we get our 9 months or so in which we can do that before needing to go to a more rapid update schedule. Mm-hmm. And of course, in that time, we'll be talking to Kevin and Brian and all of those people at NBC and having just a grand old time. Occasionally, fighting it out over how we want to see the world develop, and other times, drinking like old buddies and talking about all the awesome things that we have available to us and what we'll actually do.
So now that you're, you're 2 seasons in, what has that process gone from the very beginning of linking the game and the show to the process it is now? How have you improved that cohesion between the two products?
So what's really nice is, two things have happened. So this always happens with any science fiction show, is the first season is always feeling out what do people respond to, how do our characters interact with each other. You know a lot when you're writing that first season, but Deep Space Nine's first season, for example, that's one of my very favorite shows. Its first season's terrible. And the second season is, one of the best things on television. And that was entirely true of a lot of really good science fiction shows. And we've definitely seen that. We know what our strengths are as storytellers, but also we've refined our process for doing the crossovers. So this year we've definitely had a snowball effect of more and more things happening inside of the game world that cross over, rather than having the first season was, this discrete event is going to turn on and then it's going to turn back off. Well, what's the fun in that? Like, if you miss 2 weeks, the world's going to be different and you're never going to be able to do it again. That's no fun. So instead we have the sort of snowball effect of, we get you into deeper and deeper water as the season goes on, and now we've gotten very good at communicating, okay, every time an episode's written, every time a mission is written, how could this possibly cross over with the show and the game, and we talk it out. And we figure out, okay, hey, can we change the writing of this episode or change the writing of this scene inside of the game so that we'll have more freedom and more opportunities with the next update.
So one of the sort of holy grails that I know players have been talking about since the very mention of this product that was going to be a game and a show put together is the actions of players in the game being able to have a measurable effect in the show. Do you think that's ever going to be something? And let's hope that Defiance and the game last for many, many years to come, because I know I sure love both.
Season 7.
Yeah.
Brutal.
But do you think that that's something that, as technology grows, as your expertise at making the show and the game, do you think that's ever going to be something that's going to be possible?
So there's some possibility inside of that. So we're definitely talking inside of the long term. So one of the big things is that the show, we write all of the episodes ahead of time. So there's no point during a single TV series season that hasn't already been written. And if you haven't ever encountered it, other shows that tried to have, we decided pretty early on we were never going to do votes, because we're not going to vote a character off the island. We're never going to do that to an actor, and we're never going to do that to a writer either. However, when it comes to big between season events, that's definitely something that is on the table for season 3 or season 4 or something like that as a target that we can discuss. Particularly with how season 2 ended, there's an awful lot of opportunity to discuss sides inside of conflicts. Sort of on the show side of things, and maybe you can pass this along, but I've never been more right and more wrong at the same time as when Kenya came back. Oh my God.
That was my thing. I said she's going to come back. I hoped, I prayed, I wished, and then she did, and then I had to eat crow.
Didn't, per se. Oh yeah, I loved what I love is that it's almost essentially one of the gags with that is, okay, we had a secret name for her internally. We called her Skinya because she's a skin job, Kenya. But on top of that, we also joked about it because it's the same in the season. It occurs at the same time as the Gordon episode happened the previous season. So it's going to be just somebody coming in and posing as a famous person is going to be a running gag every 8th episode of the seasons. Well, because when we sort of worked out that way, but then it became very funny to think about.
Yeah. When we recorded the podcast, Michelle took that week off, and I sat in and recorded with Ben, and I was so cocky, and I said, "See, I told you she was going to be back," and then I loved that episode. I actually loved both those episodes. They were really good. When at first I heard the pitch for them, I was like, "Are we really going to be able to pull this off?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we've got this covered." And I was like, "You know what, guys? You guys know your business way better than I do. This is awesome. Go right ahead." And they're some of my favorite episodes. It's really exciting to see how the game has grown, since launch, and see all the things that you've added to it, the new synergies, everything like that. When you're going into the game, you go home after a day of work. You're not testing any specific thing. What's your gameplay style? What do you like to put together to play?
Okay, so my favorite thing to do is generally run around and hit as many arc breaks as I can. I have a lot of weapons that I'm trying to upgrade with the Arc Forge currency that was added inside of Arctech Revolution, and that is the best way to go about it. So I find minor arc fall sites, I drop those down, and then eventually people swarm in, and we get to have our little horde of players just tearing apart Volge and tearing apart the Ghoulani and the grid, and that's generally what I spend my time doing.
Awesome. It's a lot of fun to see what you've been adding to the game, to see the pilgrims and to see all that sort of events that are going on. And I just want to say thank you very much. I haven't watched the season finale yet. Thank you so much for not spoiling that. Much appreciated. So thanks for your time. Looking forward to getting back into Defiance and having a great time.
I hope you enjoyed. A lot of crazy things have happened in the finale, and I'm looking forward to showing how it changed the world.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.